Tonight, on a Nation Sports Show, we continue our coverage of this year's NBA postseason. The drama, the intense action, the pressure continues to rise in these playoffs. Just when you thought you've seen it all, you ain't seen nothing yet. We have multiple series, all even at 2 games apiece. Denver, Phoenix, Philadelphia, and Boston. On Monday night, did the Knicks tie up their series against the Miami Heat? Did the Golden State Warriors avoid going down 3-1 against LeBron James, Anthony Davis, and the Lakers? Will answer those questions right now. Because it's showtime.
From the gridiron to the court, talking all that is sport, breaking down the latest news, scores, and more. Welcome to our Nation Sports Show.
All right, let's get right into it. All right, we are here. We are live. It is our Nation Sports Show. Thank you, everybody, for joining us on another wonderful Tuesday. It is the two-man crew today. Unfortunately, our buddy Kevin Rory is out with illness, and he'll hopefully be back next week. So, as he's dealing with that, we're going to go ahead and bring you. We'll bring you the best we can on the world of sports, and that's what we do here on the show. So, we're going to get into it in just a few minutes, but right now we'll be usually doing that is talk about how you can follow us and how you can interact with us. Of course, right here on the YouTube at youtube.com/Our Nation Sports Show. Of course, our social media is at Instagram.com/Our Nation Sports Show, Facebook.com/Our Nation Sports Show, and at Owen_Sports Show on Twitter. You can follow us right here on the YouTube channel, as we said. Follow us here, like, subscribe, share, all that good stuff. Tell your friends, tell your family, tell your enemies, tell people you barely know. Do something. Also, don't forget to follow Nation's Corner as well across their socials, their YouTube shows, of course, 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific, where they'll talk nothing but pro wrestling. And, of course, after a busy week this past weekend and upcoming, there's going to be a lot to talk about. Also, don't forget to like my crew at Too Sweet Cosplay, our cosplay wrestling themed cosplay group, of course, from the Chicago area. Don't forget that at Too Sweet Cosplay across all socials. Our next appearance will be Anime Central, May 21st. We'll be doing our annual TSC photo shoot. Time on that to be determined, so pay attention to our social media for more information. Now that I got that out of the way, let's introduce the lone two here. Me and, of course, my heavy metal brother from North Carolina. One of my favorite people in the entire world, man, and more likable than Gene Simmons, and more talented than a backing track. The one, the only, Stephen Wyand. What's up?
What's going on, man? So happy to be here with you. And also, I'm not going to charge a stupid price that Mr. Simmons does with that VIP event that he did up there in Vegas. And, there were some people that paid that kind of money. But we're not charging you.
By the way, I want to ask, I didn't hear the price. How much was that? Do you know?
That I do not know right off the top of my head, but it obviously had to be in the thousands, because it's, come on, it's Gene Simmons. What are we talking about here? So with that being said, So no backing tracks with us because we are live. And speaking of live, this past Saturday in Greensboro, North Carolina, I was at the kickoff for the Seven Dust and Alter Bridge tour. And that was an epic show from both bands. Like, you know, the night's going to be good when Seven Dust opens up their set with Face to Face. It was crazy. It was crazy. And they played for 50 minutes, kicked ass, took names, and then Alter Bridge came on, did their thing. Of course, they played Metalingus at the end, towards the end of the set. That's always great to hear live. And also during Alter Bridge's set, when I went to go get merch from both bands and shirts and stuff, my friend taps me and he goes, "Dude, there's Morgan Rose to your right." And I was like, wow, really? And then the line turns to go up, and sure enough, and there's Morgan to my right, and we shook hands, and I thanked him for him and the guys putting on a killer show. And we took a picture, and I said, "Keep up the great work." And he said, "Thank you, I appreciate it." And off he went. Super cool that some of the guys from Seven Dust were in the crowd, you know, during the show, you know, and all that stuff. It was just a really cool night of live music. Both bands brought it. No bullshit backing tracks. It was all 110% live. It was great. And speaking of great, we got a great show lined up for you guys talking about the NBA playoffs and more. And with that being said, let's go.
Yep, absolutely. We got a lot to get into, so we're going to go dive right into it. And then, of course, why not start with the we're going to do things a little bit differently. We're going to start off with a little bit of NHL news, and that is, of course, the NHL draft lottery took place last night in a sense of who got the number one pick, and it was down to a couple of teams, and the winner ended up being the Chicago Blackhawks. The Blackhawks ended up getting the number one pick. And this is a big deal because right now the highly touted draft pick that everybody has been talking about has been a guy, I believe his name is Connor Bedard.
That is correct.
He's considered by many to be a once generational talent that is considered by many to want to be the best players in many, many years in a draft pool. So the Blackhawks are going to hopefully make the right decision and look to get a generational talent after the loss of Patrick Kane, Jonathan Taves, and some of the key players from their successful years, their championship years, which some have left, retired, and gone on to do different things. Of course, we lost Patrick Kane during last season when we got traded to Dallas, and Jonathan Taves played his final game as a Blackhawk, possibly his final game as a player at the final home game for the Blackhawks. So, but Connor Bedard is a guy that everybody in the world of hockey is looking at to be the next big player, the next Steve Stamkos, the next Alexander Ovechkin, the next Patrice Bergeron. You know, looking at the next big player to come in there and really take the NHL by storm. And I'm excited, of course, being a Chicago fan. I'm definitely excited. We'll see what happens. Hopefully they make the right decision, pick the kid, and he turns out to be the right piece, one of the right pieces we need. We can build a future off of him, and we can rebuild his teams to the championship glory it once had.
That's right. And when Chicago was winning all of these championships in the past decade, they had both of those players at the helm, and now that Chicago is put themselves into prime position to get this once in a generation, time player, this right here could set the precipice of what the Blackhawks could do in the 2020s. I mean, it's crazy because the Blackhawks haven't been the same, in the last couple of years. And now that they have what they want right there in their lap because they are the number one overall, picking team for the NHL draft. And more than likely they're going to get their man. And I really think this is a good thing for Chicago to look forward to, for years to come, because God knows, the Blackhawks in the 2010s had one hell of a run, including 2 Stanley Cup championships.
Yeah, definitely. They had one of the biggest runs. They basically turned into a dynasty with their 2010, 2013, and 2015 Stanley Cup wins. Of course, the famous one, 2010, and the Philadelphia Flyers with the puck stuck in the back of the net, and then 2013 with a little bit of rebuild, but still came back and won those titles again.
Especially
But-
the one against the Bruins. I mean, that was epic.
Yeah, and if you look at it now, though, we no longer have any of those players at the helm.
Nope.
Duncan Keith retired due to health issues. Marian Hossa, of course, called it a career and is now inducted into the Hall of Fame. And Kane is off to Dallas. Taves, his future is unknown. So when it comes down to it, when it comes down to it and you look at it, this is, like I said, this is a rebuild. This past year or so has been a rebuild for the Hawks because Kane and Taves were the only ones left and a bunch of young guys. And last year, we downright sucked. Last year was one of our worst years. We had some good wins, but not enough to get us to the dance. And we were eliminated long before the playoff brackets were even set. So with that being said, this is a chance to really rebuild ourselves as a team and really, really, and like I said, this Connor Bedard, who's a generational talent and highly touted. I think he can be the cornerstone of this organization, like the way Kane and Taves were when they were brought in to the Hawks back in the 2008. So I'm excited. I'm hoping, and when it comes to certain organizations, I don't have real much faith in, but I'm hoping and praying that the Hawks make the right decision.
And Chicago, with this last run they had in the decades, winning those 3 cups, and in 09, 010, 12, 13, 14, 15. I mean, it just goes to show you that no matter what, they plugged and played all the young guys and the acquisitions that they had in the offseason. And Chicago right now, they could be on the verge of starting yet another dynasty. And it's crazy because, just when you think, oh, it's over, it can just as quickly begin once again. So hopefully for your Blackhawks, they make the right move and they will be on to something special once again.
No, absolutely. Absolutely. Outside of that, since we're talking about the NHL, you know what? And of course, we would be remiss if we didn't talk about the Stanley Cup playoffs going on right now. And just a quick brief encapsulation on the playoffs going on right now. Right now, today, anyways, it's Carolina and the New Jersey Devils. They just started. Carolina leads the series 2-1. Then later tonight, you got Dallas Stars and the Seattle Kraken. Seattle Kraken leads the series 2-1. That's a team that's really, really taken over. This brand new franchise that has just they found the pieces. They built the right play. They got the right players, built it together, and now they're dominating and they're doing a great job. For a franchise, like I said, who's been around less than a year and a half. I mean, seriously. I mean, a team that a city that lost its basketball program, has a floundering NFL team, now has a team, an NHL team that they can sports fans can hang their hats on, and they're second round into the playoffs, up on one of the perennial teams that is usually in the playoffs, deep into the playoffs every year.
That's right. And as far as Seattle goes, I mean, Seattle right now, they kind of remind me of the Vegas Golden Knights when they first started with their franchise. The city is jumping, and good for Seattle, man. I mean, losing your basketball team in 2007, 2008, relocating to Oklahoma City, and the fact that Seattle has another sports team that is actually being successful, because I mean, as we all know, the Seahawks in the NFL had a nice, run in the 2010 decade, going a couple of Super Bowls. And if Seattle can get to the finals, or to the Stanley Cup finals, even more better. Even if they lose, it's still great because this is great for the city of Seattle. They finally have something to look forward to besides, football. I mean, in baseball, they're still struggling, but to have a professional organization besides the popular, National Football League that we all know is king, to have the Seattle Kraken doing what they're doing right now, it's very damn impressive to be a brand new organization, and they've already made the playoffs. Like, this is a win-win situation for this organization.
Yeah, Seattle's and they're doing a really good job with this. It seems like they're doing a really good job with this team. They're, like I said, putting the right pieces together. Organization is pretty well put together as far as their front office goes. Seems like they're making the right decisions when it comes to players, staff, coaches. They're doing an incredible job. And like I said, a team that's not even 2 years old yet is really putting on a hell of a performance.
Right. Because that's what the Golden Knights did in their first existence. I mean, they made a run right out of the gate, and all that. And just very impressive that, this is really good for the sport of hockey, to have these brand new franchises in existence, and they're already making waves and making moves. And I mean, again, there's nothing like playoff hockey. We all love our football, but there's nothing like playoff hockey, because hockey in the postseason, it is so intense. Like, the games are usually close, and you never know what's going to happen in a hockey game. Never know, especially with the postseason.
Yes, definitely. I want to give a shout out in the chat to our boy, Mr. R.A. Davis.
What's up, R.A.?
What's up, buddy? We'll see you in about a little less than 2 hours. We'll be hanging out with you in a little bit, but thanks for chiming in, bud. We appreciate it as always. He put, speaking of cups, the Guardians taught the Lions what they need to guard.
Those poor Tigers in Detroit for those that don't know what Ari's talking about, the Guardians were facing the Tigers yesterday, and literally, you talk about the perfect strike to the nuts. Yeah, that happened.
Yeah. Just to let you know that, and just to let you know, ladies, he will not be having kids for the foreseeable future. So just wanted to let you know that. So I mean, if this man is single and not married, sorry, ladies. If you want a family, you might have to go with somebody else. Dallas and Seattle play tonight on ESPN at 9:30 Eastern. So Seattle leads series 2-1. Tomorrow we got another game on the docket. Another series, the Toronto Maple Leafs and the Florida Panthers, and shockingly, the Panthers are up 3-0 against a former championship team and a team that eliminated probably the perennial team in the entire league, the Tampa Bay Lightning.
Man, I tell you what, the Florida Panthers are, and I said it the other week when they upset the Boston Bruins in that series. This Florida Panthers team is this year's version of the 2019 St. Louis Blues, who went on to win it all, to win the Stanley Cup. If the Florida Panthers can do what they're doing right now, if they keep it up, dude, they could be one of the most shocking teams to contend and possibly win a championship. Like, they have hit this heat wave and they are riding its momentum, and taking out the Bruins last week in the Garden in Game 7 on the road. And now they're on this magic carpet ride, and they're killing it. They're absolutely killing it. Yes. Like, it's crazy.
Steven, real quick, RA just put 3 balls and a strike is not an out.
This is true. That poor guy got hit in the balls, and they still called him out. And as Trenda would say, ain't that a bitch?
Yeah, that man, as Trenda would also say, is not accustomed to that kind of lifestyle.
No.
By the way, shout out to our girl Trenda. Shout out to our girl Trenda. Miss you, sis, and we'll hopefully hang out on Zoom soon. Definitely definitely with Florida. Florida is a team that I did not expect to make any waves this season.
No.
Florida's a team that doesn't even sniff the playoffs, and even if they did, they're usually eliminated the first round. But they're shocking that they're up on a team that's a former title contender and a former champion in the Toronto Maple Leafs organization, and they become basically Florida's become the spoiler team, despite them being as good as they are, because I mean they eliminated the team that had the most that had the wins and points record this season. And then they go and now they're on the brink of eliminating, like I said, a former Stanley Cup championship team and a team that's usually in the playoffs virtually every year since they rebuilt it. I'm excited. It's tomorrow. It's 7 p.m. Eastern. Also, speaking of the Vegas Golden Knights, they play tomorrow as well against the Edmonton Oilers. And that series is 2-1 to the Golden Knights, another new team that's making waves. It really has put their franchise together in a very, very big way. So, and of course the Edmonton Oilers, which I'm, an old team, been around forever. That team is, I believe they're one of the original 6, if I'm not mistaken. The Edmonton Oilers, great team, but right now I think the Golden Knights are on a different level right now. I think they're playing smart hockey. They're great on the defensive side. I've seen a game or two during the season with the Golden Knights, and they looked really good. I've not seen any of the playoff games yet, but I think they're still having that great success because, like I said, they're great and they're great defensively. Offensively, they can score when they need to, and they're just an overall more complete team than Edmonton is right now. But look at what we're going to talk about in the NBA in just a few minutes. I mean, look at how competitive those series are. In a sense, if you take a look at some of them, I mean, this could end up being 5-game series or whatever it is, or 7-game series, kind of similar to almost freaking Golden State and the Kings. Who knows? But I expect this series is going to be a lot more tight fit. I think the Golden Knights go up on this one, but I think go 3-1. But I think Edmonton's going to bounce back the next game and push it to at least a game 6. Where I think Golden Knights are going to take it. But that's pretty much that game, of course, will take place on I believe that takes place on the 10th as well. Yep. 10 p.m. Eastern on ESPN. So check your local listings for all your information on those games. But in other news in the NHL, Colorado Avalanche forward Gabriel Landeskog will be out for the entire 2023-2024 season after having a cartilage transplant in his right knee. So that's going to take pretty much the entire season to heal up. So he's not going to be around. Like we talked about earlier, Blackhawks winning the draft lottery, number 1 pick, which is big. The Anaheim Ducks will get the number 2 pick, and the Columbus Blue Jackets will get the number 3 pick. And a fun fact about this, the Blackhawks, who had a 11.5% chance to get it, they had the 3rd best chance of winning the lottery. If they would pick number 1 for the second time, it would be the first time since the 2007 NHL draft where they selected Patrick Kane. So, and the 2020 draft is going to take place in my second home, Nashville, Tennessee, Bridgestone Arena, baby.
Nice.
And speaking of second homes and all that, Steven, I will let you know this. I had a talk with Front Row the other night, and this is to tell you, first or second week of September, I will be visiting North Carolina.
Hell yeah.
And to let you guys know, in case you don't know, we will be filming a live edition of our Nation Sports Show with me, Steven, Kevin, and Joey all in the same room at the exact same time. That date will be determined once I figure out my schedule, once I figure out, of course, financially, flights, all that stuff. But once we do, we'll let you know. We'll let you know on all of our social medias, including, of course, the sports show social media. But planned, guys, September, we're going to have our first ever live edition of our Nation Sports Show all in the same room together. It's going to be an epic fun time because I'm going to torture these guys like crazy for those few days I'm going to be out there. And I know we got to try planning around a concert, Steven, so we can go rock out together.
Oh yeah.
So
Oh yeah.
we'll definitely do that. But that's pretty much it in the world of the NHL right now. But all the best to all the teams in the playoffs, and check out those games tonight on ESPN or wherever your local market is. I believe we do have a few NFL notes, so let's get into the NFL real quick. I mean, there's not a whole lot, of course, since we're still in the throes of the off season, and of course, Super Bowl hangover, and so one of the biggest news stories was the whole story around Matt Araiza, who was involved in a thing. There was a story that went around that Matt Araiza was involved in a gang rape of a minor occurred in 2021 of October. However, the charges have the San Diego DA has decided not to press charges against Araiza after a witness came out and said that he was not present when that gang rape happened. So with that witness coming out and saying that in the testimony, that prompted the DA, that prompted the San Diego district attorney to drop all charges against him. So Matt Araiza is a free man and he will not be charged with anything. So he is free and clear. So so that's true, then good for him. Congratulations, and hopefully he can get back to. Hopefully, maybe you go out there and play again. Who knows? Also, some sad news in the world of Minnesota Vikings. Joe Kapp, who played quarterback for Cal and then later led the Minnesota Vikings to the Super Bowl at one point, passed away at the age of 85 today. He played in the he played let's see right here. It says right here, as far as the Vikings go, he also led the British Columbia Lions in the CFL to the Grey Cup, and then he led the Vikings to a Super Bowl, I believe it is 4 appearance, and then he ended up leading him to a championship eventually. Or no, he just led the team to a Super Bowl. But still, he led the team to great success. So all the best to his family and friends, condolences, and rest in peace to Mr. Kapp there. The Dolphins have signed former Bills and Jets tight end Tyler Kroft. So a nice little pickup for them.
Mm-hmm.
And NFL Hall of Famer Ricky Jackson has received his Pittsburgh degree at the age of 65.
Wow. Interesting.
Oh yeah. And of course, Steven, we got to talk about, I mean, it's obvious as the nose on your face, but the 2023 NFL schedule will be released May 11th. It is now official. And with that being said, the new rules came out today. The new rules came out yesterday. The changes to the schedule. And these are the schedule changes that have come out. So the NFL will have a Black Friday game for the first time ever. Games don't necessarily belong to networks anymore. All games are quote unquote free agents. In other words, Fox will not own certain games, and CBS won't own certain games. NFL Network won't own certain games. So any game can appear on any network, which is pretty obvious. Teams can be on Thursday Night Football twice instead of once this year. Not all teams are guaranteed to have a primetime spot. So those are the new changes to the schedule for this year.
And that's very interesting because CBS is going to be trying to get these highly contested Chiefs games, and so is Fox and NBC. I mean, it's just the market now for these big time matchups is going to be even more crazy because it's unpredictable now, on which markets are going to get, because CBS is going to try to get the Chiefs and the Bills, and all that, get that game again, because obviously Romo and Nance have been calling a lot of those games in the last 4 to 5 years. And so, yeah, it's going to be really fascinating to see what happens, with the NFL schedule for the year 2023 because there's the Bengals, the Jets, especially the Jets, and God help us all, because we're going to have to suffer during Karen Rodgers' multiple primetime games and hope to God the Jets absolutely stink up the joint. But that's wishful thinking.
Yes, absolutely. It is wishful thinking. But I do like the idea. I mean, a Black Friday game is cool because, it sucks players have to work on a Black Friday, but it's also fun for us people who, I love to go shopping and all that. And but it's also, you get tired of watching, the Westminster Kennel Dog Show or the beginning of Christmas specials, because I usually don't watch them until the first anyways of December. So why not throw on, for us football fans, why not throw on a game to keep yourself entertained while you're dealing with the tryptophan of the turkey and getting drunk off your ass. Get Thanksgiving hangover and the hair of the dog that comes with it. So no, but seriously, it's these are nice little rule changes. I mean, some of it's plain, like I said, it's the nose on your face basically, but whatever. Let's see. Also, we get into more news with the wonderful world of the NFL. Some other signings took place. The Falcons and the Falcons have signed former Seahawks and Bengals cornerback Trey Flowers to a 1-year deal.
Wow.
Listen to this. This is their secondary. They recently added Trey Flowers, Mike Hughes, Jeff Okuda, Clark Phillips III to a group that already has AJ Terrell, D. Alford, Cornell Armstrong, and Darren Hall. So
interesting.
We talked about an unfortunate sad news, and another one is unfortunately for the Cleveland Browns. I believe it's Cleveland Browns owner, his son, Nick Gilbert, passed away from a very rare disease. I believe he was only in his mid to late 20s. At a very young age, dealt with a very rare disease, and unfortunately passed away a couple days ago. So all our condolences to him and family and all that. May he rest in peace. Also, Ravens linebacker and former Bears linebacker Roquan Smith announced he will be wearing the number 0 this offseason. Is that how many Super Bowls they'll win? Is that how many meaningful plays they'll make? Or is that the many zeros that are on that check that that Mr. Lamar Jackson will be cashing in about 4 years? Oh, listen to this. The Colts have released Nick Foles.
Oh, there goes Big Dick Nick. He's out of there.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, Nick Foles, honestly, Nick Foles has not done nothing with the Colts since he's came to the team. The only thing he's doing is keeping the bench warm. And Anthony Richards being the quarterback, of the Indianapolis Colts, it's going to be interesting to see how he, flashes in the offense, with him being a rookie. And my only problem with this pick, the Colts going with Anthony, is the simple fact that you got all these so-called experts, we think that he's going to be a huge, asset to your team, and so, it's possible, but I think that Stroud and Young are going to have a better run.
Yeah. Some other news, of course, we got to talk about here. This one is, of course, Lamar Jackson. Speaking of Lamar Jackson, he did officially sign his contract a couple days ago, so he's got that big money. Eagles defensive tackle Jalen Carter is the first 2024 first-round pick to reach an agreement. He landed a 4-year, fully guaranteed $21,806,184 million deal. The deal was negotiated by Drew Rosenhaus and Jason Rosenhaus as well with several Eagles officials. So the first 2024 draft pick to sign an official long-term deal. Browns have agreed to terms with veteran safety Ronnie McLeod.
Okay.
Or Ronnie McLeod, shall we say, Ronnie McLeod. Texans is re-signing free agent linebacker Neville Hewitt to a 1-year deal.
Okay.
And of course, right here, New England Patriots have announced that former linebacker Mike Vrabel has been voted into the Patriots Hall of Fame.
Sweet. That's awesome.
Yep. Let's see here. Also real quick here, former Raiders cornerback Rocky Sin, the team's Rocky Sin. It sounds like a bad Christian metal band.
Yes, it does.
It's a worse name than Striking, but I digress. Yes, I was on a Christian metal podcast kick today. I don't know what it was, but thank you, Howard Jones, for Light the Torch. Speaking of that, man, I'm putting the call out right now. I know nobody watches this shit that's probably a fan of his music, but we would love to have Howard Jones of Light the Torch on either this show, or we'd love to have him on the Nation's Corner. Because Howard Jones, for those of you who don't know, former lead singer of Killswitch Engage, as well as the lead singer of the band Light the Torch, is a massive metal fan, of course, Christian metal fan with Stryper, and he's also a huge pro wrestling fan. So we can talk to him about a little bit of everything. I would love to have the man himself. So if anyone here has any connections to Howard Jones, and that's probably highly unlikely, but if you do or know a way you can get him in touch with us, please, we'd love to have him on the Nation's Corner to talk a little pro wrestling and, of course, a little bit of metal along the way.
It'll be fun.
Yes, it would be fun. Oh, it would be awesome. And it is fun. Who's going to be having a ball? Aaron Rodgers. Because it was announced today or a couple days ago, that Randall Cobb will be joining Rodgers over in New York. And you know what the funny thing is? There was a meme that came out and says, Aaron Rodgers, and it shows him, Alan Lazard, and Randall Cobb. It says, quote, I don't have any weapons to throw to in Green Bay. Then it shows the same picture on the bottom, and it says, you know what? Give me the same weapons I had in Green Bay. Because that's exactly what he did. He bitched about not having any weapons to throw to. Outside of Christian Watson, and look who he's got. Lazard, Cobb, and whoever else. He's I don't know, that Darkness Retreat fucked him up somewhere. But anyways, to be honest though, cool, we get to see Randall Cobb and Rodgers one more time. This may be the final time we get to see them two together. And as much as we bag on Rodgers, and of course it's fun. I usually lead the fucking charge because of him being in Green Bay and torching my Bears every damn year. But and at least that's over now. Now I can heal from all the pain now. Of those, I can stop seeing those short drives down the middle that torch our fucking defense and make us look like the New York Jets circa 2011. Look, as much as we bag on the guy, and as much as we, look, that duo, Randall Cobb, Aaron Rodgers, deadly, especially back in the day. Those two were one of the deadliest quarterback, wide receiver threats. I mean, seriously. I mean, yes, it's different now. They're both above age. Randall isn't the same. Rodgers ain't the same. But look, this is probably their final run, their final day in the sun for both teams, or for both players in a sense. We don't know what Rodgers' future holds outside of being in the Jets for a little bit, and we don't know what Randall Cobb's future holds if this is going to be his final run. And Randall Cobb is a Green Bay Hall of Famer. He's a future NFL Hall of Famer, that's for sure. So
in his prime, he was a lethal weapon on the outside and in the slot. He could go deep and vertical and run these crazy routes. And him and
Jordy Nelson, man.
Oh yeah,
him and Jordy Nelson, man. Those two can run those deep routes. They could be in the flat. They can do the cross route. Those guys, if they got open and Rodgers had that cannon going, dude, you better watch it, because those two wide receivers were an absolute destruction machine when it came to take the words out of Kevin Kelly, from of course WWE, New Japan, and Ring of Honor, as he says about Red Dragon, they were the two-man smash machine. They were, when it came to football, they were the two-man smash machine, and that's a duo I would not want to face if I was a team that had a weak defense, and or even a strong defense but had trouble out in the open. But yeah, like I said, Cobb now joins Lazard and Rogers again, this time in New York. Pretty prototypical. He wanted to get Cobb back. I mean, that was part of what was his conditions to join Green Bay, was to have some of his former players in Green Bay over to him. So,
and he got a couple of them. So he got his wish.
Yeah, so we'll see how this goes. You know, like I said, it's not September yet. It's not even August yet for preseason. So we'll see how that goes. Outside of that, that's pretty much it on NFL news. Do you have anything before we move on, Steven? Oh, Jordan Love officially signed his 1 year contract extension worth $22.5 million.
And now the Green Bay Packers get to play with the guy that they drafted a couple of years ago that basically sent Rodgers on this downward spiral in Green Bay during his final couple of years.
Yep.
So we'll get to see how he is as a starter. And honestly, I don't think he's going to be that great.
Who knows? We'll see what happens. Another shout out real quick to William Gyron, who's in the chat tonight. William, what's up? What's up, sir? How are you? Hope you're having a good night. And
What's up, William?
Say hi to if you talk to him, say hi to our boy Randy, man. We miss him. Also want to give a shout out, not in the chat, but of course a shout out to a man who does pay attention to our show, and that is my good buddy Jeff Grice, my coworker. Jeff is a big sports fan. He always chimes in. We always chime about sports every time we go into work. We've been heavily discussing the NBA playoffs, which we're going to get into in just a few minutes. So special shout out to Jeff. So definitely we're gonna be talking about some of these games tomorrow when we're on the same shift. So definitely cannot wait for that. Let's go ahead and let's do it, Steven. Let's get into the NBA playoffs. Whew. And what a competitive playoffs it started out to be, but now we're starting to get into the point where it starts to be a little bit of some domination. And of course, in the wonderful world of the NBA right now, if it'll let me go to NBA.com, real quick here we are. Okay, so right now, real quick, I want to get into the game that's going on right now, real quick, and that is Philadelphia and Boston. They are playing right now. Right now, since there's no score, which is not right at all. But yeah, right now Philly and Boston are playing their game 5. I believe, is that a tie series or is?
Yes,
Boston?
it is. It is a tie.
Okay, it's a tie series. The series has been very competitive between both teams. I mean, Philly, of course, with the MVP Joel Embiid, and of course Boston, who as with Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, who's been an unstoppable force lately. It's been really competitive, and I've seen one game, and it's a pretty close one. What are your thoughts on this series, Steven?
So Philadelphia in this series, especially in game 1 last Monday, when Harden dropped 45, we're like, oh boy, like here comes the former MVP once again putting on a masterpiece, and then in game 2 and game 3, respectively, Harden was held in check by Jaylen Brown and that Celtics defense. And just Harden could not get it going. He was turning the basketball over multiple times. And then in game 4, when the Sixers needed him and Joel Embiid the most, they rose to the occasion. And Philadelphia was up in that fourth quarter in game 4. And Boston just came on a furious comeback, took the lead, and then Harden hit a 3 to go up by 1, and then Marcus Smart had the ball, or no, Tatum had the ball, drove to the paint, kicked it out to Marcus Smart. Smart hits the three, but he is a fraction of a second too late. And the game went into overtime. And Philadelphia, like the song goes, by the skin of their teeth, held on for the 116-115 victory. It was a crazy game 4 in Philadelphia. I mean, the Celtics were just a smidge of a second away from putting a stranglehold on this series. I mean, this series has been very interesting because the Celtics responded in game 2 at home and dominated. Game 3, that went in Philadelphia, punched the bully in the mouth. And then in game 4 is a seesaw battle between both of these teams. And just Tatum showed up, played great, 24 points, 13 rebounds, had a great performance. And, just crazy how Tatum, still is performing at a high level, for this team. And now the series goes back to Boston for tonight's game 5, with the series all knotted up at 2 games apiece. And you never know what's going to happen in the rest of this series, because any of these 2 teams could easily win this series. And to me, one of these 2 teams is going to be representing the Eastern Conference in the NBA Finals. Absolutely,
man. Oh, by the way, the score right now, I had to go to Google to look it up because NBA.com was having a little bit of trouble with their website right now as far as pulling up the score. It is 18-13 right now. 76ers over the Celtics with 5:34 left in the first quarter. So,
and that right there just goes to show you that Philadelphia on the road has responded, and they've already won game 1 in that building, and they can easily do it again tonight. It wouldn't surprise me. But if I'm the Celtics, you have to take game 5, because going on the road down 3-2 is not a good scenario.
No, that's literally the last thing you want to do.
Yes, especially going to the opponent's other gym, and playing in that hostile environment, with knowing how rabid those Philadelphia fans are, and so again, if I'm Boston, you got to respond at home cooking, do what you got to do, get the victory, at home, go on the road and play ahead up 3-2 in Philadelphia. And we'll see what happens.
Absolutely, man. This is one of those, you cannot give Philadelphia any sort of momentum heading back home, because like you said, Philadelphia's fans are rabid and they're hungry, and they're going to be looking for this success after so many years of mediocrity, whether it's with, the old teams with like Andre Iguodala and, whoever else, Drew Holiday, to Ben Simmons, to
Ben Simmons, oof.
All that. But now look at this team. You got the MVP. You got so many great players on the team, a well put together team you've got freaking James Harden. You've got so many great players on that team and it's the well put together franchise and a well put together team that I think we could see this team in the NBA Finals as long as Embiid, Harden, they all stay healthy and they can keep up with the momentum, especially if they win this game going into Philly. They have to take that Philly crowd with them, and they have to really put the foot on the throat and try to seal it there. Because if they go back to Boston, it's going to be definitely a harder road for them.
Right, because if Boston gets game 5 tonight, up 3-2, Philadelphia, they have the home crowd in the palm of their hands, but they got to respond, and force it back to Boston for game 7. But if you're the Celtics, you gotta get tonight. If you don't, it could be over.
Yep, absolutely. Also tonight on tonight's docket is at 10 p.m. Eastern is the Suns and the Nuggets. Another tied series at 2 games apiece.
A pivotal game 5. And listen, Kevin Durant and Devin Booker for Phoenix are just machines at scoring. Like 40-plus point games for both of these guys in this series, and they never stop. They always score. Score is their motto, and the Nuggets just can't stop them. You have to have all of your weapons, like Jamal Murray and Nikola Jokic and Michael Porter Jr., especially Porter Jr., who has had his struggles in the postseason this year. Denver has a lot of weapons on this team, but they have not a lot of experience. See, that's the one team, in my opinion, that even if they get to the Western Conference Finals, I don't trust them, because the Lakers, and we'll get to them, and Golden State, we'll get to them in a little bit, but Denver has the least amount of experience with their players that going further into the postseason. Yes, Denver did make the conference finals in 2020, but that was during the Mickey Mouse bubble in Disney.
Yep.
So, I mean, Denver can make a run. They're a dangerous team when they're firing on all cylinders, but Jokic and this team they gotta buckle down and stop Booker and Durant, because all they're gonna do is keep scoring on you. You can put all the defenders on them you want, but they're still gonna find a way to get the ball in the hoop.
Yep, absolutely. Denver, you got Jokic on that team, as long as he doesn't get himself in trouble for shoving people.
That part.
Yeah. Just don't even get me started on that. That's crazy. Let's talk about that for a brief second. Why don't we? The owner of the Phoenix Suns, Matt Ishbia, was, I think, the ball went into the crowd, so he went to grab the ball. He grabbed the ball, and Jokic, I guess, wanted to take the ball back, and I don't know if Matt was playing around or what, but he tried to take he kind of pulled on him, and Jokic responded with a shove. And luckily enough, he was not suspended by the NBA. He was fined, though. He was fined, but he was not suspended. And even Matt came out and said that he doesn't want him suspended or fined, that it was just part of the emotion of the game. So he doesn't want that to happen, especially in a critical matchups like what they're going to have coming up.
Because if Jokic got suspended in Game 5 tonight, if he did, and the Suns went on to win this series, Denver fans are going to be pointing the finger at the NBA for suspending the MVP of this team.
Yeah, obviously. Yeah, so we got that going on tonight as well. Like I said, 10 p.m. Eastern, more likely on TNT. So check that out. Let's talk about this is the big topic, of course. You mentioned this in the intro, and that is what looks to possibly be the collapse of the Golden State Warriors. The Warriors are down 3-1 against the Lakers. And let me tell you, as much as we give them grief to the Lakers, I got to admit, ever since they were healthy, ever since they got their shit together, LeBron and Anthony Davis have been a fucking monster duo. LeBron especially, he has taken over those games like he's known to do. Anthony Davis, yes, he still has tweaks and injuries, of course, because he's a fucking French vase that's got multiple cracks in it. But the dude is playing out of his mind. The dude is playing so damn well on all sides of the ball. I mean, Anthony Davis right now has just been playing so damn great. I mean, seriously. Anthony Davis, 23, 15, and 2 in that last game. Playing absolutely a monster on the boards while getting his points. Then you got Austin Reeves, who's stepping up. He had a 24, 2, and 4 game. And then, of course, LeBron having a near triple-double, 27, 9, and 6 helps. And then the bench stepping up a little bit. Dennis Schroeder, Walker, all coming up with some big points.
And Lonnie Walker last night, 15 points, all in the fourth quarter. I mean, that fourth quarter
nuts. That third and fourth quarter was a dogfight.
Golden State, when it looked like they were going to be up big time, LA just came storming back. Go ahead.
No. I was just gonna say, like, at one point it was like 94-94, then it was 94-96, then it was 96-96, then 96-90. It just kept going back and forth like a damn yo-yo. And
Oh yeah,
it was a real competitive last quarter, and it could have gone either way, but Golden State couldn't get the right plays together. They just
bounces.
They just need to run out of gas.
And part of this, and again, Golden State up by 12 in the third quarter. And okay, this is looking like it's going to be a blowout. The Lakers are teetering on the brink of disaster once again, like they did in game 2 on the road when Anthony Davis couldn't get it going. Now, mind you, in the first half, AD was great. But that second half, he wasn't demanding the ball as much. Like he wasn't commanding the ball, like, give me the ball. And so I can post these guys up and all that because the Lakers have the size. And the thing is, the Golden State Warriors, again, up by double digits, and you're figuring, oh, this is it, and the Lakers are done. And then got to give credit to LeBron, to Anthony Davis, and the role players for absolutely stepping up and getting back into the game. And heading into the fourth quarter, they were down by 7. And LA just goes on a 7-0 spurt as soon as the fourth quarter begins. And then right then and there, when the game was tied, right then and there, it was going to be a dogfight. And just it was a crazy game. And Stephen Curry, despite having 30-plus points, the problem last night with Curry that did not impress me, he took 30 shots to get his 30 points. Not impressive. 12 of 30 from the field, 3 of 14 from 3. That is not the Curry that we have known over the years. And Klay Thompson did not show up. 3 of 11, not hitting his shots. Just not a good game for Thompson. And Draymond Green, when the game was on the line, he blew it and threw the ball away. I mean, my goodness. The Jordan Poole, and Kevin has talked about this, on this show, and he was talking about this when me and him and Joey were hanging out on Sunday. And he said that Jordan Poole is just, he's out there, and it's like he doesn't even care. And I think he's spot on, because Jordan Poole looks like a long-lost puppy looking for his owner. And just, he's not playing a shit, ounce of defense. He's not shooting the ball at all, consistently. He's not making the right plays. He got his money, got his wish, and now look what he's playing like. He's playing like crap. And Wiggins is having a hell of a run still with this team, but everybody has to show up. And it is crystal clear as day, and the night goes on and on and on, that the Lakers are just a bigger team than Golden State. They're being outsized and outmatched. And this is kind of what happened, with the Cleveland Cavaliers in 2016. Kevin Love and LeBron and Tristan Thompson. This team has size in 2016. And this Lakers team, my God, they were looking like they weren't even going to make the play-in tournament, let alone the playoffs. And the fact that they got into the tournament, got into the dance, and look where they're at. And there was an article written today, and it was very well said, and I'm paraphrasing when I'm saying this. Dynasty's the end. Time eventually for all of us comes to an end. And one or two things are going to happen. Either Golden State will find a way to somehow silence the critics once again that have came out, like Charles Barkley, like Shaquille O'Neal, like Kenny the Jet Smith, like Stephen A. Smith, everybody out there in sports land doubting this team. And look, we're doubting them too. Hell, even Kevin is doubting his own favorite basketball team, because the Golden State Warriors, as of right now, is one game away from it all coming to an end. And if you fought the dynasty in 2019 against Kawhi Leonard and the Toronto Raptors was over, this has to be it, because these egos on this team, Green, and look, I love Steph. I love Steph to death. Steph's a great player. I love Thompson, but you can't have too many chefs in the kitchen. Nope. You got to have one de facto leader on this team. And if Curry would just take the reins, from Thompson and from Green, trying to, start, kind of get them going too, you have to have that de facto leader. And when Curry's firing on all cylinders, and when his role players are firing on all cylinders, this team is good. And this is the part that kills me. Even though I'm not a Golden State fan, I respect greatness. What the hell is going on?
I know. That's why I'm on the show.
Right.
I just Barry Horowitz myself, by the way. Pat on the back.
Very well timely, sir. And
I mean, we were getting too serious in the conversation. I had to throw it a little bit of funny.
Exactly. And it was perfectly timed. And and I don't know what the hell is going on with this team, because this is not the same team from 11 months ago that was hungry for another championship. They have won 4 championships in the last 8 years. They should be going, okay, we're going to continue to establish our dominance. Just when you thought we were done, we ain't done yet. Well, this season, Golden State lollygagged, and they fucked around, and they found out that, that their record isn't good, because let's be honest, even when they messed around, and we're finding out the hard way, the thing is Draymond Green said in the month of March, the games don't matter. Well, they do. They did. And now, instead of saying that the regular season doesn't matter, this should matter, because your team is one game away from being sent packing home, and let alone in the second round. And not only that, but getting dominated in 2 out of these 3 games against the Los Angeles Lakers. You got dominated, on the road against them. And then in game, and then last night, they dominated you, by coming up with the biggest plays, hustling on the ball, and being literally on the ball, and just beating you in the paint. And especially in game 1, they beat him in the paint. And they're getting to the free throw line. I mean, that's the biggest contributing factor to this series, because when the Lakers have gotten to the free throw line in this series, they won every single game. But in game 2, when they got their asses beat, they weren't getting to the free throw line, and they weren't getting into the paint. They weren't dominating, especially AD. He is the engine that makes this team go as far as their dominance inside the paint. And I have to give credit, as much crap as we give LeBron and Anthony Davis for not, staying healthy and consistent. I mean, we can't deny that the Los Angeles Lakers right now could possibly be the hottest team in basketball right now. And even though they're not the top highest seed, but that's just a number. They might be the 7th seed. But let's be honest too, we'll get to this in a little bit, but the Miami Heat are also one game away from going to the Eastern Conference Finals as the 8th seed. And the Los Angeles Lakers right now, they have the champions backed up in the corner in a fetal position. And when
we get to the Miami Heat, I have a very important question to pose, but we'll get to that. But Steven, you are 100% right. This is not the same team that we're accustomed to seeing.
No.
This is not the same Golden State Warriors that we're used to seeing. And Kevin posted some great points, including the lack of production from not Steph, Clay, but Draymond to a degree, but mainly Jordan Poole. Jordan Poole has not stepped up.
No.
And Kevin, I know if he would say is that Jordan Poole is probably going to end up, if he were to GM, he'd probably end up letting Jordan Poole go.
Oh yeah, he got it, and that's the thing is Golden State would have to pay a hefty fine or a hefty sum of money just to get him out of the deal because of that contract that he signed.
Yeah, so I don't know how that would work, but Steven, you're 100% right. And you look at a team like the Lakers who look, let's listen. They were mediocre at best in the season, but now they've turned it on when it counts the most. Anthony Davis is staying as healthy as humanly possible. LeBron is back to being the LeBron we always know. And I'm talking about play-wise, not being a crybaby little bitch who flops around like a fish that just got pulled out of a lake. But I'm talking about as a player overall being, one of the best
40
players.
to 26 Philadelphia. They are dominating.
I was just getting ready to say that next. I was going to give you that score update. 40 to 26 right now. James Harden hit a huge three-pointer to put it to that, man. I've got the game on my TV right now, and I'm keeping an eye out of the corner of my eye. And they've been kicking ass, man.
They are, and and back to this Golden State series with this Lakers team. I mean, the fact that Lonnie Walker IV last night, a guy who used to have a prominent role with this team, when his number was called upon, he showed up and he played a great fourth quarter. And along with Austin Reeves, 20 plus points. And just the fact that the Los Angeles Lakers are where they are at right now, considering where they were 4 or 5 months ago, it is just remarkable how if you set your mindset right and you get your mind right, you can change the narrative around what people are saying about your team. And got to give credit to the Lakers because they got the Warriors on the brink out the door. They're just 1 foot out the door. And the thing is about this Warriors team is honestly, I think the drama that they had in the offseason, it's weighing upon them. And this is a similar thing that happened in 2019 when KD and Draymond had their incident and Green said, we don't need you. We don't need you, and all that. And they won a championship last year, but just the focus isn't there. And and what's killing Golden State is the turnovers, because in each game they've lost in this series, they've had double-digit plus turnovers. They are very careless with the basketball, and you have to respond. You have to assert yourself that, we're going to be aggressive. We're going to play great defense. We're not going to allow, the Lakers, to get to their spots and establish themselves. And the Lakers, for the most part in this series, have established themselves, and they have shown their physicality to Golden State, and Golden State just doesn't have the size. There's all these egos, flapping their gums. And I honestly think that if the Warriors lose, mainly at home, again, look, they're good at home, but you're down 3-1, you have to play like it's game 7. And if they lose tomorrow or if they lose in game 6 in Los Angeles, the team is going to blow up. It's done. It's basically done. So Curry has to play more consistent, and he can't get in foul trouble. Good God, 5 fouls in game 4. If that game would have went to overtime, disaster. And just it's crazy. It's crazy how Golden State is just, they're playing with fire, and they're possibly going to get burned. And if they get knocked out of the playoffs, it wouldn't surprise me, just the way they're playing.
Oh, by the way, RA posted something in the chat. He put, "You don't trust Nuggets. Owen Hart disapproves."
Bravo.
Bravo, good sir. Let's move on to one of the other series, and of course that other series, what other one is Miami. And I had a very poignant comment to make, and that is about, of course, the Heat, because really the Heat's success relies on one player, and that is Jimmy G Buckets. The G stands for Gets. as Stacey King from the Chicago Bulls would say. To me, look, Miami is a good team. I don't think they would be anywhere near the spot they're in if it wasn't for Jimmy playing as hard and as well as he has. The question is, and this is a question I pose to myself and to other people I've talked to, can Jimmy Butler keep this up? Miami players, and this is no slight to the Miami Heat at all. The Miami Heat are a put-together team. Understandably so. That's why they're in the position they're in. But you cannot look in the mirror and say to yourself that most of its success is righted by Jimmy Butler and by the 40, 50-point games that he's had. The question is, can he keep up that type of pace? And the answer to that is obviously no.
No.
It is no slight to his athletic ability. We knew that in Chicago when Jimmy was with us.
Yes.
How good of a player he is. It's just not one singular player can keep up that kind of pace. Dirk Nowitzki, remember Dirk Nowitzki used to do that, and he would falter because his body would break down. What was it last year we had that issue? Who was it with? I think it was Giannis. Was it
not
Giannis?
Only that, and not only that, but even going back to it again with Chicago, Derrick Rose.
They relied on Derrick Rose too much. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm looking at the Heat from the last game. I mean, don't get me wrong. Like, they have a good bench with Kyle Lowry. They got Martin with 10 points last game. Kevin Love, who's in the starting fucking lineup, only has 8 points. The two players that got them to where they needed to be were Bam Adebayo and Jimmy Butler. Those two are great, but they cannot keep the team afloat. They can be the stars and they can have these big games, but you have to have more support from your role players. I mean, yes, Kyle Lowry did a great job at 15. Martin had 15, but Jimmy cannot keep up this type of 40-point, 50-point pace. He can't do it. There has to be Adebayo is stepping up, yes, but to me, the Heat as a team if they could get the role players to do a little bit more, I think they're a team that could win the entire damn thing.
Yeah, but that's the thing is that this Heat team has to be. They are the. I'm not going to say they're the luckiest team because let's be honest, the Bucks shot themselves in the foot. Giannis, being out those first couple of games, showed up in Game 4. They still lost the game. And then in Game 5, when you're home 4, you blow that. You blow the lead. You blow the double-digit lead in the game. It all because of Butler. And when Butler, when he wasn't in the game against the Knicks in Game 2, they lost. Butler is the reason why this team is going where they're going. And I know Tyler Hero hasn't been there because he's injured and he's out for the rest of the season with the injury. But the Heat, they're going to get cooked by Philadelphia or Boston, whoever advances to the conference finals. I mean, this conference finals, and honestly, I trust Philadelphia more than I do Boston because Boston in this game, they're not showing up. I mean, the Celtics, you would figure on their home floor, we're going to show up, play our asses off in front of our home fence, and they're getting their asses spanked. They're making a little mini run right now, but come on. I mean, Philadelphia or Boston, it should win this series against Miami because Miami they don't have enough firepower, when the role players are doing their job and they're doing their thing. Miami can be a dangerous team. I mean, mind you, Miami, obviously, as we know last year, was the number one team in the Eastern Conference, and they took the Celtics to a 7-game series. So anything can happen. But my thing is can the Heat sustain this run? And right now they are. But honestly, it's because they're playing the Knicks. And the Knicks, they're a decent team, but they're not a great team because Philadelphia and Boston, the Boston and Philadelphia, the second and third seeds respectively, are just better basketball teams. And Miami is the hot team right now, but I don't think they can keep it up, especially in the conference
That's
finals.
what she said.
Right.
But I do agree with you on that front, Steven. I do agree 100% on that. Right now, score update real quick, 42-33. Right now, with 8 minutes left in the second.
6-0 run.
Yep, little 6-0 run there from Boston. So, last minute and 22 so far, then a 6-0 run. Okay, so as far as the games for tonight, that one game tonight for which of course is the Heat and the Knicks. Well, actually, no. I'm sorry, I'm looking at the Miami Heat scores. I need to look at the entire NBA, but I believe tonight's game is probably around 10:30.
Yep, it's Denver and Phoenix.
Yeah, it should be around 10:30-ish. 10 p.m. Eastern.
That is going to be a pivotal game 5 because, I mean, any one of these two teams can go on the road and win in the other team's building.
Yep, absolutely.
And it should be interesting to see if Booker and Durant and the altitude up there in Denver can continue their dominance, because at home they were killing it and dropping 40+ points. And again, Denver or Phoenix to me is coming out of the Western Conference.
Yep. Well, that is a very critical game. But like I said, tomorrow that'll be taken, and tomorrow will be the 3-1 series leads. Of course, the Lakers and Warriors, and then the other game tomorrow as well.
Now, honestly, I think Miami is going to wrap it up in 5, but I honestly think the Warriors are gonna take game 5 on the road. I'm sorry, at home, and then on the road in game 6 on the road they're gonna lose. So I had the Lakers in 6.
Yeah, I have unfortunately Lakers in 6, but whatever. Real quick about the Lakers and the Warriors, the game 3, according to some stats here, was it delivered the largest NBA conference semifinals game 3 audience in 24 years. They despite the 30-point margin of victory, Saturday night's ABC broadcast averaged over 8 million viewers and peaked at almost 10 million at 10:30 p.m. Eastern time, according to the Nielsen ratings.
Interesting.
It was also the most watched NBA conference semifinals game in 12 years since 2011 across all networks. So, and real quick before we move on, actually, Steven, do you got anything else you want to talk about in the world of the NBA real quick?
I will say, as far as tomorrow, when it comes to the Warriors and the Lakers, I mean, Curry has to kind of look for his teammates a little bit more.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, he had a triple-double, but it meant nothing. I mean, Curry was getting his teammates involved last night in game 4, but he has to, not like he has to be aggressive, but you have to balance out the offense, and all that, especially the shot selection. I mean, 30 shots last night to get your points, that's a little too much. That's a little too much. And Klay Thompson, especially Klay Thompson, he has to show up.
Yes,
because
he does.
Last night he was putrid. He was awful on the offensive end and the defensive end. And Green, play your role, play defense, get your guys involved. And Poole, for the love of God, quit being an idiot on the court. Quit being, as Dave LaGreca would say, worthless, and useless. Because that's what Jordan Poole is. He's worthless and useless the way he's been playing. He's like Oh, I'm just showing up, collecting a paycheck, checks clearing the bank, yada, yada, yada. And he doesn't play defense. And Andrew Wiggins, God bless him, Wiggins is playing pretty solid. And even though, even though he's gotten, paid, he's playing it like he means it, and just Golden State they're outnumbered because of the size, and they got to win the 3-point battle, because if they're not winning the 3-point battle, they're not winning the game.
Nope.
You can't. And Charles Barkley last night was spot on during the halftime show. He said, if you're the Lakers, you want the Warriors to continue to shoot the twos instead of the threes, because you can beat them when they're shooting twos, but when they get the 3-point shot going, it's lights out. And so if you're Golden State, you got to show up and play like it's game 7, because all you can do right now is take it one game at a time.
Yep.
And also, I want to real quick, I want to talk about this because the Milwaukee Bucks.
Oh yeah, that's right. They fired their head coach.
Why? Why did you fire your head coach? I mean,
that was the dumbest move I've ever seen in my life. You just won a championship last year, all because you exited the playoffs early this year. Oh, we're going to fire the coach. Why don't you just change around the players? My God. Why did you fire your head coach? He won you a title. He made your city relevant, since your Brewers can't fucking do it.
You won a championship.
And your Vikings team is more. Your Vikings team is fucking so susceptible. You might as well. Your Vikings team is more susceptible. You might as well call it the Denver Broncos.
It's ridiculous. The Milwaukee Bucks. Okay, I understand. They had the ultimate choke job. I mean, just crazy. I mean, do you honestly think that even if a success has had a sudden exit in the playoffs, sure, that happens, but they've never fired their head coach like that, just like that, off of 1 year. That's one freaking season. Yeah, everybody was picking you to go to the NBA Finals, and rightly so, because Giannis Antetokounmpo, when he is healthy, had a hell of a run again. But it's just crazy how I don't understand what the Bucks are thinking. Budenholzer was the reason why this team is where they were in the last couple of years. They reached the pinnacle of the top of the mountain, and after one disaster postseason, this past year, getting bounced by the 8-seeded Heat, you're going to fire him? Like, that is a terrible, terrible move by the Bucks. And now they're going to have to find a new head coach, and also another coach to run a different offensive scheme. Not a good move. Sorry. Not a good move. I am not a fan of it, because when the Bucks were healthy and when they were laser sharp focused, nobody could stop them. Holiday, Middleton, Giannis, Brook Lopez. That team was one of the best teams of the season this year, and they fell flat on their face in the playoffs. And I get it. It happens. But why? Why are you firing Mike Budenholzer? Because Budenholzer is the reason why your team. I mean, we have Giannis as our star player, but Budenholzer is the coach, and you have to have a coach, a mind in the locker room that can pick his players up when they are down in the trenches, and that's what Mike did. And just I don't get why the Bucks did this. I mean, dude, you know this. I mean, the Chicago, like in hockey, your Blackhawks. In between those Stanley Cup championships that they won, those 3 championships in 2010, 12, and 15, they had their share of failures, did they not? But they got back up. Like, it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's utterly ridiculous. Mike Budenholzer is the reason why the Milwaukee Bucks organization is where they are right now. Not because of the players. They play a part in that. But the head coach is just as important as your players on the team, because the head coach is the head voice of the team that has the scheme that he likes to run. And there's going to be a huge momentum shift in the Eastern Conference. Now that he is gone, he is fired, because somebody, don't know who, but Mike Budenholzer is going to be picked up by some team who needs him desperately as their head coach. Because whoever gets him, he is going to be a great coach to their team. I mean, look what the Sacramento Kings did this year. Mike Brown, the guy who knows the Golden State Warriors offense at the back of his hand because he was there with Kerr and all those championship years and stuff. Mike Brown turned the Sacramento Kings around into a franchise who was making moves and selling out, their arena. They were drawing crowds. Milwaukee was the city was jumping. I mean, they've been in the conference finals, they've been in the NBA finals, they've had all the success. And after one fucking year, you blow it up. You get rid of your coach, your head voice, the head guy who speaks to his players, and he's a leader of men. And I'm sorry, but Mike Budenholzer just got done wrong. And there's one thing I believe in, and that's karma. And karma will get the Bucks.
Yep. They basically, in words of myself, in a sense, unlike the other Bucks, these Bucks didn't act super. Unlike the real Bucks didn't super kick themselves in the face, unlike these Bucks did. They gave themselves their own super kick party by doing that. But in reality, I mean, come on. Like, this is stupid. Why would you fire your head coach? He gave you a championship season, all because your team was lackluster and choked in the playoffs. Doesn't mean you fire your head coach. You got to sit there and make basically they threw him under the bus and said, instead of having the players take responsibility for their actions, the front office said, just get rid of the head coach. That makes no sense to me. A guy that just won you a championship last season, a guy who put his heart and soul into that team these past 5 years, all of a sudden is now out of a job because your team blatantly fucking choked and lost because they couldn't get it together.
Not only that, but to add to this, and I just read this, his brother passed away in a car accident the night of Game 4, and he kept it a secret until now. I hope that he lands somewhere firmly on another team and he establishes another culture like he did with Milwaukee, because he took this team anywhere and everywhere, the ups and the downs, the satisfaction of getting a championship in 2021 with your star player, Giannis, getting the MVP after dropping a 50-piece McNugget on the Suns in Game 6 at home. And Budenholzer is going to be a great coach no matter where he goes, because I believe that he is a leader. He is a great coach, one of the best regular season runs of any head coach in sports. So whoever gets him, you're getting a great coach. And shame on you, Milwaukee, for dropping the ball, literally and figuratively.
Yep. Real quick before we close out this part of the show, some sad news to report, and that is not in the world of the NBA, but it's in the world of college basketball. and that is that legendary former head coach Danny Crum has passed away at the age of 86 today. Danny Crum spent 30 seasons with Louisville,
Wow.
racking up 675 victories, ranked 15 all-time then, championships and championships with Louisville in 80 and 86. He retired in 2001. He's a disciple of John Wooden, the legendary UCLA coach.
Mm-hmm.
So, yep, he directed Louisville. Directed Louisville to 23 NCAA tournaments and 6 Final Fours. So an absolute legend in the world of college sports. Unfortunately, passed at the age of 86 due to a long illness. No official cause of death has been announced. Sad news coming out of the world of college basketball, unfortunately, with the passing of Denny Crum. Anything else you want to talk about in the world of the NBA before we move on, Stephen?
I think I'm good.
Okay, quick score update. 55-44, Philly over Boston. 128 left in the half. Okay, so with that being said, also real quick, going back to NHL, there's a huge stat that I just found out earlier that I saved while I was scrolling through the internet. The Blackhawks have already sold $2.5 million worth of season ticket plans for 2023 and 2024 in the 1.5 hours since winning the #1 pick.
Unbelievable.
Including more than 500 new full season plans. Listen to this stat too also. This morning, $5.2 million in ticketing revenue.
Crazy.
That's how fans are amped and excited over this Connor Bedard guy. Like I said, I know nothing about him. He is only 17 years of age from Canada. This guy apparently is a big shot, so we'll see what happens. I just wanted to bring that up real quick. As far as news, as far as anything else, MLB real quick, I want to get into just quickly. Cubs player Horner suffered a mild hamstring strain, will be out for a little bit. Cubs unfortunately dealing with injuries. Same thing with the Sox. Unfortunately dealing with some injuries. Real quick. Also for the Cubs, Kyle Hendricks would be dealing with a right shoulder strain, threw in the pitching group on Saturday. So he's going to head out to his next minor league rehab, start with AAA Iowa soon. So hopefully, Aaron Judge has been activated from the 10-day injured list for the Yankees. Josh Donaldson worked out at the Yankees complex, so he's looking to get back into it after a right hamstring strain as well. Johnny Cueto, dealing with right biceps tightness, will return to Jupiter for rehab after spraining his ankle as well in AAA Jacksonville on Saturday. And some other and that's it on the big injury notes. Really not a lot going on in the world of Major League Baseball as far as big news, but some score updates real quick. The Cleveland Guardians are up on the Tigers 2-0. Bottom of the 8th. Rockies are destroying the Pirates 10-1. Bottom of the 7th, getting ready to start top of the 8th. Tampa Bay Rays are losing to the Orioles 4-2 in the top of the 8th. Reds are beating the Mets 7-2. Sorry, Elder. Phillies are beating the Blue Jays 3-2, middle of the 6th. Yankees are beating the Oakland A's 5-2. Speaking of the Oakland A's, real quick, the news that came out today that the Oakland A's have made a deal to buy the grounds that belongs to the current Tropicana, famous Tropicana hotel and believe entertainment center in Las Vegas. They're going to demolish that legendary hotel and turn it into the new $1.5 billion ballpark.
And our very own, our video guy,
Hijacker
Mike, is livid.
Oh, he's trust me. If you guys check him out at Mr. Mike, at Mr. Mac, look him up on the old Twitter machine, and yeah, he is not happy at all. Real quick, and so the one thing that is sad for us, especially, is Tropicana is a legendary hotel in the Las Vegas Strip, and unfortunately, that's going to be like everything else, torn down for something more modern and new. But see what happens. The Atlanta Braves are up on the Boston Red Sox 5-1 in the bottom of the fourth with two men on in scoring position. Bottom of the third, the Cards are beating the Cubs 4-1. Padres are beating the Twins 1-0. The Dodgers are beating the Brewers 4-0. And on a little bit of a rain delay right now, the White Sox taking on the Kansas City Royals. Also tonight, the Astros taking on the Angels. The Rangers taking on the Mariners. And the Marlins taking on the Diamondbacks. And Giants taking on the Nationals. So those are all the games for tonight in the world of Major League Baseball. So check your market and your local listings to see what games will be on near you. Anything else you want to talk about real quick, Steven, sports-wise?
Say that again. Sorry, I was listening to the game.
Okay. No, you're fine. I was just I was asking, do you have anything else that you want to talk about real quick?
So actually, real quick, in this game, Joel Embiid is up to 21 points in the first half.
Okay.
He is having a monster of a first half, and
okay.
There's been so far there has been an interesting stat. There's been 33 free throws in the first half of this game.
Yeah, that's a lot. A lot of people getting in the line. I've noticed that out of the corner of my eye a little bit. I've seen a couple times where they were getting up to the line a little bit more frequent than usual. So
yeah, it will be interesting to see how the rest of this game turns out.
Absolutely.
Yeah, actually, I think I am good to go.
I think I am too. Real quick though, actually no, we're gonna save that for the show on Saturday. But also want to give a quick shout out. Another quick shout out to our Nation's Corner crew who had a fun time this past weekend at 80s WrestleCon with ISPW, of course, with very own Dave LaGreca. Busted Open hosted a special episode of Busted Open this weekend with some great guests, including a special guest co-hosting in the one, the only ECW zone, Danny Dory. And what a great weekend it was. A lot of our crew, Chad, our buddy Chad from Albany, Debhausen, Mongrovian Mike, Craft Beer Neil, Too Sweet Neil, our buddy, they were all there, live and in person, checking out the great scenes, meeting some great wrestlers. Had some great stories from the time. And I'm glad they had a great time. And of course, we're going to talk about it more on the show this Saturday. So definitely tune in to hear those stories.
Yep.
Which will be a fun time. And I think that's it for me, man. I don't have nothing else. One thing. Press conference happened today involving Jake Paul and Nate Diaz. I saw videos, and let me tell you, that shit was more fucking staged than WWE is.
Yes.
Oh my God.
These stupid celebrity MMA.
Well, it's not even celebrity MMA because it's a boxing match between Jake Paul, who's knocking out overtired MMA fighters, taking on Nate Diaz, one of the best pure boxers in the entire world of mixed martial arts.
And that's what I was saying. Like these celebrity MMA, fighters are competing in boxing, and this is not their realm.
Dude, they set up. You can tell it was clearly set up. A reporter talking shit about wanting to beat up Nick Diaz. You could tell that was so fucking staged. It's I said, people don't think MMA and pro wrestling aren't the same. MMA and pro wrestling are the same. They have characters. They have personalities. Conor McGregor, Nate Diaz, Tito Ortiz, freaking Jason Mayhem Miller. Those guys are basically pro wrestlers who know how to legitimately fight and kill people. That's exactly what it is. And it's the same thing with this. Triller. Anything involving Triller. Anything involving this. They love the aspect of professional wrestling and sports entertainment. You could tell clearly by what happened at that press conference. So, as I'm looking forward to the fight as I am, mainly because I want to see Nate Diaz kick the living shit out of Jake Paul and make him look like a bitch. It's just the thing that turns me off is just this whole them trying to be like pro wrestling. But whatever.
Exactly.
I'm looking forward to the fight more than I am the build up. It's kind of like WWE in certain storylines. The matchup will always be better than the build up. So, but that's all I got. That's all I got, man. Any other comments you want to make before we wrap this up?
Yep, I think I am good. Like I said, again, great show with you, and looking forward to having Kevin back on next week. And just continuing to talk about these playoffs and whatever comes out of the week of football. And I know we'll be reacting to the schedule of the NFL. Being released, as far as what primetime games are going to be shown on TV and all that stuff. And looking forward to covering that next week. And you can follow us on Twitter at Owen_sports show, Facebook.com/Nation Sports Show, and also on YouTube where we are live on most Tuesdays at YouTube.com/Our Nation Sports Show. And also don't forget to follow the Nation's Corner on Twitter at Nation's Corner, everywhere else on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook. It is at the Nation's Corner. And check out the guys and gal this Saturday, 7 p.m. Eastern, 6 Central, 4 p.m. Pacific time as they recap the week of professional wrestling. And with that being said, Ezra, wrap us up, my friend.
Sure thing, man. Of course. Thank you to everybody for joining us. Thank you to our people in the chat, Mike, R.A. Davis, of course, our buddy R.A., of course, William Gyron as well. Thank you to everybody who chimed in. Thank you to everybody who's going to watch this video later on. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Please do. Also, real quick, I want to wish everybody, since we're not going to be on Sunday, I would like from everybody here at Our Nation Sports Show, we love to wish all the moms out there a happy Mother's Day. And if your mother is no longer with us, we hope that you'll be able to find some comfort. Happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there, including my own mom. Love you very much. Thank you for everything you've done, especially over the past 3 years. You've done more than anybody else, and you're the strongest woman I know. So thank you so much for everything that you've done. And we just want to say that to all the mothers out there. So happy Mother's Day to all of them. With that being said, to close it out, as we always say, we will see you all next week. For Kevin Rory, for Stephen Wyand, for our boy in spirit, Randy Gyron, of course, and for Joey Thornton as well. I am Ezra Vickery. We will see you right here next week for another great edition of Our Nation Sports Show. Take care, everybody. Have a great week and enjoy the sports, and we'll see you all next Tuesday. Peace out. Have a great evening.